Name the first word that comes to mind.
Fun.
Yes. Welcome to the sofa, Hollie Loxley, MD of 72andSunny.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And what does after work mean to you?
Since I've moved to Amsterdam, after work means getting on my bike, cycling home, trying not to have an accident.
I've been there.
It actually happened to me about 2 weeks ago, which I feel was my Amsterdam initiation a little bit. I feel like a true Amsterdamer now. I've fallen off my bike. I got my wheel stuck in the tram lines.
Been there.
Which apparently happens to everyone.
Cried in the bath afterwards. It was great, you know.
I know. I had mules on, so one went that way, one went the other way, and then I had to scurry across the tram lines to pick up my shoes. So if I get home unscathed, I have a daughter who's 2. Her favourite pastime at the moment is eating snacks. So normally I have to get home and try and stop her from eating snacks before we put her in the bath.
Me and her should hang out. I love snacks.
Oh, me too.
So 72andSunny, you moved about 4 months ago to beautiful Amsterdam. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So why the move and why now?
I was born in Birmingham, lived in London for about 17 years. Had my daughter whilst I was in London, and then this opportunity came along. And I thought to myself, if I don't do it, will I in a year's time look back and kick myself for not trying? So I thought, well, the answer was definitely yes. I really feel that the values of that agency really align with my values, and also the work ethic. When 72andSunny was founded, it was founded 21 years ago, and Amsterdam and LA were founded at the same time. And they founded the company on the spirit of optimism. And I think a lot of people think, oh, optimism, you mean positivity, or you mean because you've got sunny in your name, it's all about sunshine and thinking the best is going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite. It's around looking for every opportunity and really having the kind of grit and perseverance to go after every single opportunity and win. So I kind of feel like it completely aligns with my work ethic. And I've never really had that in an agency I've worked with before. So I felt really excited by that.
So you are proudly from a working class family in Birmingham. You've said that when you first moved to London and into advertising, you didn't feel a sense of belonging. Can you explain a bit more?
I am proudly from Birmingham. I was an account manager. My parents couldn't support me because, my dad was a bricklayer. My mom worked in a factory at the time. They didn't have the spare cash to be able to support me. I feel like I was fortunate enough 17 years ago to be able to live in a house share that was relatively reasonable and survive on a minimum salary of, I don't even think it was 20k at that point, as an account manager. And I could survive. I mean, it was really tight, but I could survive.
Yeah.
I don't think people now can do that, which makes me feel really sad, because if I was entering the industry now, I don't think I would have ended up in London at all, because I just wouldn't have been able to afford to do it.
No, and that's why it's vital that we all work on the industry salary levels, especially at entry level.
Yes, definitely. I definitely used to feel slightly embarrassed by my working class roots. I now feel embarrassed that I felt embarrassed, because I should have felt proud from the start, but I didn't. And I used to shy away from talking around my background. Yeah, I remember when I first joined my first agency in London, I discovered I was the only person that didn't go to private school in the client service department.
Wow.
And that, I used to think, God, if people knew like where I come from and my background, it would be so alien to them. So yeah, for a long time, I hid details of my upbringing and details of my background for the reason that I felt like I didn't belong. It took me until I got a little bit more senior and, I was a couple of years deep in the industry that I actually started to feel really proud of my roots and want to talk about it to people and feel really proud that I'm the only person in my family that's, gone to university. And I now definitely see it as a superpower, because I do think in our industry, whether we're trying to sell trainers or whether, we're doing a purpose-driven campaign, unless you have diversity of thought, then I don't think we can get to the best work.
How has your sense of belonging changed over time?
Because I have turned my background into what I feel is a superpower, I definitely feel that I belong more, I think, because I have that mindset. Also, I think, again, in my career, I was fortunate enough to encounter senior people in the industry who come from a similar background to myself and were really proud about that fact. And that encouraged me also to feel the same. And when you're around, in some respects, kind of similar people who are feeling really proud about where they've come from, it instantly makes you feel a little bit more like you belong.
Couldn't agree with that point more. You've been very open with me about your IVF journey, and I think it'd be really helpful to talk about it so that we can hopefully positively affect others going through it in our industry.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. So I started my IVF journey around 5 years ago. At the time I was at Havas, I was a managing partner. I started my first IVF process, which unfortunately was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
You have to deal with that. You have to deal with the feeling of, I think after going through that process, it almost does feel like grief. And then probably you have to go to work the next day and pretend that nothing happens in a lot of situations, especially if, you've got big client meetings. We got set up for another round, and that was the round that was successful. And I now have a beautiful daughter who I've already mentioned, Albie, who is 2.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Always see her as my little miracle.
Yeah, and it is a miracle.
Every time I look at her, I feel immensely thankful.
I'm so grateful you're talking about it, because it feels like, do you mind if I ask a couple of questions? So how long was each of the processes?
You have to go through around a month to make sure that your hormone levels are right. And then you will go through normally then a month of the process of IVF, which consists of injecting obviously yourself with hormones. And then you'll go through the process of egg collection and so on and so forth. So the whole process probably will last around 4 months. If it's unsuccessful, then you need to normally wait a little bit of time before you go again.
So it sounds like it's a really regimented process. And when you've also got a day job, how do you mesh the two? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult. I remember a time I was having a blood test every morning. So I used to go for a blood test between 6 and 7 in the morning. And then I used to have that blood test. Then I used to walk to the office. And then you would get a call from the clinic to tell you what medication that you would need to inject. So I would go into the office after this blood test, and I'd kind of get used to it over, the time that I was doing it. But then you'd sit in the office and you'd go into a client meeting, and I'd have my phone out, and then I'd get the call. And then when you get the call, they tell you how much you have to inject and whether you have to do it immediately or within 1 hour or 3 hours. So if you had to do it immediately, you had to excuse yourself from the meeting, get your medication out of your bag or out of the fridge, and then go to the agency toilets to be able to then inject yourself, which is tough. Just that process of having to tell people that you have to leave a meeting to then being in the toilet having to inject yourself in that environment. It's hard. I mean, I was really fortunate because I had a really great support network around me, and I had great mentors and leadership. I remember one day the head of strategy at the time said to me, do you want me to come into the toilet and inject your medication for you? And just little things like that, you realise that actually kind of the support network around you when you're going through something like that is so, so important.
So first of all, thank you for sharing all that, because I think it's super helpful to show that, especially in leadership, this is how you dealt with it. If you were giving advice to others going through IVF, what tips would you give them?
Energy is a really important one. I think we work in a really fast-paced industry. And sometimes I think when you're in it every day, you forget that. And I think that when you're going through IVF, your body needs rest and relaxation. So putting some boundaries in place around, switching off your Teams pings in the evening to give your body chance to rest, I think is really important.
Yeah.
So definitely kind of rest and relaxation and making sure that you're managing your energy levels. I think stress is a big one as well. Again, I think our industry runs on adrenaline a lot of the time. And again, a lot of the time, I think we love it. When we're in a pitch situation and there's adrenaline's running and it feels like a really great place to be with momentum. But when you're going through IVF, you really need to make sure that you're managing kind of your stress levels. So being able to say no to things, I think, is really, really important. If you need to, take a walk around the block, if you just find your own ways to be able to kind of manage those stress levels and try and keep them to a minimum. And I think for me, just being human and don't beat yourself up, because you are going through a process where you are injecting a hell of a lot of hormones into your body every single day. So making sure that you give yourself a bit of a break, if you feel tearful or if you feel down or if you feel agitated, like, don't beat yourself up for it, because it's a hell of a toll on your body. And trying to go through that and also juggle a career at the same time is incredible. And whoever's done that should feel, I think, immensely proud.
And you've got all this going through your head, the hopes, the fears, the anxiety, the nervousness, whilst you're trying to hold down servicing clients. I don't know how you do that, because I'm not very good at compartmentalizing when it comes to, emotions, as some people are. I don't know how you did it. How did you?
It's really tough. One of the things actually that happened to me, which I think absolutely shows the support that I experienced, was when I was managing partner, as I say, and I was going through IVF, my boss knew that was the case. So hopefully at the end of the day that I would become pregnant, and they actually promoted me to managing director, which
That's huge.
Yeah, at the time it made a huge difference to me as well, because what it proved to me is that I had the support and people had the confidence in me to be the managing director of that agency, knowing that I was hopefully about to become a mother, and I'll be forever thankful of that.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I know that can't have been easy, and I really think it's going to help people in the industry going through IVF, so thank you. What's the best piece of advice you could give someone about to start their career in advertising?
Just be yourself. Like, based on my experience, I think if you enter this industry and you just be yourself and you feel passionate about what you're doing and you work hard, like, you will succeed.
Finish the sentence. If I wasn't in advertising, I would be a
chef.
Ooh.
Passion for food.
You good?
Not entering MasterChef anytime soon.
Damn, I thought we were going to get a good lunch. Are you a recipe follower or
No.
just make it up? Me neither.
I'm a slapdash.
Yeah, me too.
Anything goes in and just cross your fingers and hope for the
Can
best.
be an issue sometimes, can't it?
Can
Massive.
be an issue.
Thank you so much, Hollie. This was
Thanks for having me.
so enjoyable. I really
enjoyed
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Most embarrassing thing you've ever said in a meeting? Too many.